What's up everyone, my name is Franco, but on a great day today. We are going to continue this series of eXtremeRate tutorial videos, and in today's video I will be showing off the PlayStation 4 Decade Tournament Controller Upgrade Kit. This kit was just released by eXtremeRate, and it is going to turn your ordinary, stock, boring PlayStation 4 controller into a 4 paddled tournament ready controller with trigger locks. I will be showing you how to install this kit along with how to remap the paddles, and ultimately we will be putting this controller to the test and seeing how it performs. As always, I'll leave timestamps down below in the description so y'all can't skip to whichever part of the video that you want to see first. If you are looking to purchase the Decade Tournament Kit or any of the eXtremeRate products, head on over to the gamingcobra.com website and use code SPARA at checkout to save 10% off of your purchase. As I'm filming this video, I just got word by eXtremeRate that they will be releasing a fully built Decade Tournament controller. It will be labeled as a HexGaming tournament controller, currently only available on Amazon to US residents only. But if you want to check that out, Amazon link is down below in the description. And just a friendly reminder, I do stream every Saturday and Sunday starting at 1 p.m. Eastern time, so make sure to subscribe and press that bell to be notified for future videos. Everyone smash that like button and let's get into things. There are a few important things to note before we continue. Important thing number one, this Decade Tournament Kit retails for around $40 to $50. If you head on over to the gamingcobra.com website, the original list price is actually $52 and it's currently on sale for $40. So go ahead, take advantage of that low price and use code SPARA at checkout to save even more money off of your purchase. Moving on to important thing number two. This is a DIY kit, a do-it-yourself kit. So you will need to take apart the PlayStation 4 controller and then reassemble it. But not to worry, for those of you who don't have any tools at home, eXtremeRate does provide you with all of the required tools in the box. Moving on to important thing number three, you will need a version 2 PlayStation 4 controller, the one that has the light bar in the touchpad. So make sure you're using the latest PlayStation 4 controller that is on the market. Moving on to the fourth important thing, if you are wanting to remap L3 and R3, you will be required to do some light soldering. So make sure you have a soldering iron with some solder. Now, if you don't feel comfortable soldering, or you don't have a soldering iron, or you really don't care about remapping L3 and R3, you are able to simply skip over that step. You're not going to affect anything. The controller is going to work perfectly fine. You just won't be able to remap L3 and R3 to the paddles. And for those of you who are going to be soldering, I am going to be explaining everything in detail for you guys, not to worry. Getting to the fifth and last important thing to note, please, I mention this in every single video, read that user manual. Everything is well written, but nonetheless, I'm going to be walking you through every single step by step. It's going to be extremely detailed, so get ready, follow along with me, and let's get to unboxing. Time to leave your comments down below on which color you think I chose, but cue that drum roll, let's find out. And I decided to switch it up just a bit and go with the soft touch white shell. I think it's going to look stunning. So first up in the box, we have the front and back shell. They do come bubble wrapped, so you don't have to worry about it getting damaged during transport. Next up in the box, we have the tools that we will be using, followed by additional screws, springs, and the components that we need for assembly. Put that to the side. Next up, we have the user manual. I strongly suggest giving this a read, but nonetheless, I'll be walking you through all of the steps in today's video. And then all the way down at the bottom of the box, we have the 1-year warranty card. All you have to do is just shout them out and send your picture on social media to get that 1-year free warranty. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to clear out the table, I'm going to set everything up, and we will get to disassembly and then assembly of the kit. To start things off, we are going to have to take apart the stock PlayStation 4 controller. Very simple and easy to do so. Grab the star screwdriver or the Phillips screwdriver provided with the kit, and we're going to unscrew the 4 screws on the back of the PlayStation 4 shell. Once we have all 4 screws removed, we are going to have to separate the 2 shells. In order to do so, grab hold of one of the handles and just pry back just like that. It'll pop open. Do the same for the other side, and we're going to go with our pick or squeegee tool, and we're going to get inside that gap, and we're slowly going to unclip the controller. Take your time with this. You don't want to break anything. Carefully go all around the controller. It's eventually going to pop off. You are able to use just a bit of force just to get those clips unclipped. Still stuck on the back. There we go. So slowly separate the 2 halves. Pull that up. It's going to come out, and we've separated the bottom shell. I'll just put this to the side. Next up, we are going to have to disconnect and remove the battery, which is very easy to do so. Connection for the battery is right there. Go in there with your fingers, grab the base and pull up just like that. It's going to disconnect. The battery is held on by 2-way tape. Let's give that a wiggle, pull off. We'll set that to the side as well. Next up, we are going to have to remove the battery plate. So again, grab your Phillips or star screwdriver, and we're going to unscrew the screw first. Once the screw is removed, we're able to remove the battery plate. We'll set that to the side as well. And next, we are going to have to disconnect the cable for the touchpad. Wiggle back, unclip perfectly, and now we could separate the front shell from the middle half of the controller. This is very easy. Just slowly pull away. We'll set the middle section to the side for now, and we're going to start work on assembly of the front shell for the kit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to swap out the touchpad. I'm going to swap out the directional pad along with the buttons. So we're going to put the stock buttons onto the new shell. Pretty easy to do. The touchpad is just going to flip around like that. I'm going to remove it, and we're basically going to flip this in just like that. Step 1 done. Next, we'll work on the buttons. We'll just remove the rubber first, set that to the side, and then we'll do 1 button at a time. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead with that rubber, and I am going to install it back. There are these little pegs, so make sure you are seating it correctly and everything aligned. Just align the pegs up. Next, we're going to work on the directional pad. Same concept. Pull back the rubber, swap that in, and we will replace the rubber. Next, we're going to take the rubber from the PS button, but we're not going to use the stock PS button. We're going to actually use the PS button that comes in the kit, which is right over here. This is going to seat in. It goes in 1 way only, and then we're going to reinstall the rubber. Next, we are going to assemble the rings. This is pretty easy to do, so just align them with the cutouts and firmly press in and clip in. I'll do the same with the right side. With the front part of the shell completed, I am going to put this to the side actually, and we are going to get to working on the center part of the controller. This next part is for those who want to remap the L3 and R3 buttons to the paddles. As you can see, I have my soldering iron ready to go on the table. If you don't want to remap your L3 and R3, please skip forward. But for those who do want To learn and do so, I'm going to show you guys right now. So we do have to identify which soldering points we need. I'm going to get this close up for you guys. So we are going to need that point right there, and then that point right there. So what we are going to do is we're going to grab the thin cable and make sure the writing is facing you, just like that. We are going to align, and the second point will fall perfectly in line with that second point, just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on this point right here. Once I have it in a good position that I'm comfortable with, I'm just going to go with my soldering iron and just slowly touch the point that is exposed. Don't need much, just need to touch it just a bit just to melt that point, which will create a contact just like that. As you can see, pretty sturdy. If I pull on it, it is perfectly in place. Now what I did, just to make it a bit easier, I added just some solder to the tip of my soldering iron. Now in order to do that, grab your spool of solder and just slowly touch the tip, just like that, just to get some solder on. It will make it a bit easier in order to make the contact. I'm going to do so with the second point, just like that. If you aren't able to disconnect it, you know you got a strong connection right there. Just apply just a bit of force. Perfect. I know that is on and that is not going anywhere. So I'm going to disconnect my soldering iron and we are going to continue to the next step. Next up, we have to install the audio jack. I'm going to grab this. There is a cover, so keep in mind. I'm going to pop on the cover. I'm orientating it in the proper direction. It'll clip in and it's going to look exactly like that. Next up, I'm going to attach the middle section to the front shell. Make sure the touchpad wire goes through the little slot up at the top. There we go. And then the rest will just fall into place like so. We are going to actually disconnect the board. In order to do so, there's these tabs, one right there and then one right there. Just gonna pull back on them just to pop up the board ever so slightly. Board pushed out of the way like that. Make sure the double-sided tape is facing you when you install this, and we are going to align it with the two pegs that are sticking out. Make sure the touchpad wire does not get caught in between. With that firmly in place, we are going to bring back down our board and clip it back in. And then next, we are going to plug back in the touchpad wire. We are going to reinstall the battery cover. Don't forget the screw. Do not over tighten, just go until it stops. It's nice and snug. We are going to grab the battery, put the battery back into place, clip the wire back in, just like so. And what we are going to do next is actually, we're gonna fold it along that dotted line. I'm gonna remove the double-sided tape. That to the side. Let's align everything perfectly. So the hashtags or the cut lines are right at the edge of the battery. It'll fall nicely along the edge. Perfect. And for those who want to remap their L3 and R3, take that wire that we soldered on bring it around, and we're going to connect it into this port right there. So keep in mind that this port, the black mechanism to lock it in, is just flip open like so. Gonna go ahead with the wire, gonna slowly guide it into place. Just lock down the black latch to secure it in place. We are gonna start work on the back shell. Gonna start things off with installing the trigger locks. Gonna grab one of them. Keep in mind the peg that's right there is gonna slide down through the slot. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna install this one. They only go in one way, but keep in mind the tab that's right there has to stick outwards. Now, in order to lock that into place and screw it in, we are going to need a spring. We're gonna need a washer, and we are going to need one of the medium screws, or screw number 2 that is provided in the kit. Set that to the side, set that to the side. I'm gonna put the spring right into place. Then we are going to feed the screw through the washer, just like so. We are going to push down. Grab our star screwdriver, or our Phillips screwdriver, and we are going to screw that into place. Right when it stops, stop applying pressure. That's it. That's all. We've installed one of the trigger locks, and let's see how that feels. Perfect. So slide up or down. Nice motion for motion as well. Satisfying. And you hear that click as well. That's how you know you've installed it correctly. We're gonna go ahead and install the other trigger lock. Now, with the trigger locks installed, make sure they are on their shortest position, which is all the way up. And we are going to work on installing the back buttons. Go ahead, take one of them. They only fit in one way. And you can see this part, the outer edge, is going to connect to one of the holes. And we will need to screw these in after. And it's going to be a perfect fit. I'm going to do the same with the other one, just like so. Now, we will have to screw these in position, and we are going to use screw number 2 that came in the kit. So to lock the bottom paddles in, remember it got placed right there, so we will have to screw that in. Pretty easy to do. Just align the screw and then slowly screw it in. Don't over tighten, just go to where it's snug, just like so. Don't have to apply much pressure at all. And I'm gonna work my way around. I'm gonna do the other side. So once the last screw is tightened, we are going to actually grab the original back shell, and we're going to swap out all of the light bar and put that into the new shell. So I'll just set this to the side. This is a very easy and simple process. We're going to start off by pulling up on the plastic bar, and then the clear plastic is just going to detach just like so. There is some double-sided tape right there, so don't be afraid to apply some pressure upwards. Next up, we are going to have to unscrew that center screw, put that to the side. The window is going to just pop out, and then with our tweezers we're just able to lift up. So don't worry about wiggling it. I'm just applying a bit of pressure. Set that to the side. Next, we are going to install the charging port with the light bar onto the new shell, and we are going to use screw number 1 that came with our kit, which is the shortest screw. It actually has somewhat of a flat head. It is not coned. Perfect, and it is that first hole that you're going to screw in. Awesome, that is perfect. And then we're going to go ahead, put back the window, put back the glass. This is going to just slot into that place. That's going to clip in. Perfect, and we're going to secure it with the plastic bar. Done. Awesome. With the light bar and charge port installed, we are going to next install the remap button. In order to do so, you're going to grab it, and you're also going to grab the clear plastic piece that came in the kit. You'll see that there is a little peg that sticks out. That little peg is going to go all the way down in the bottom, and it's going to come out through that hole. Basically, this piece is used just to shine the light through, and it goes in one way, just like so. Grab it, and we're gonna put it into place down onto the back shell, just like so. We'll set this down. Next up, we are going to install the remaining parts. Keep in mind with this, the eXtremeRate writing is facing us when we install this onto the back shell. On the back side, just to show you, there is a little switch which is right there. That is going to connect right in the middle of the remap button. And what I'm going to do right away is I'm going to screw this down into place with the screw number 2 that came with the kit. There's only 2 places, one right there and one right there to screw it in. Perfect. Let's move on. So if I flip this just around, just to show you, you're going to see these pegs stick up. Well, these are actually the buttons. So when you press down the paddle, it's pressing on those buttons, which actuates the press. So those pegs are going to go down and sit into right there and right there as well. So just make sure to align them. Like so. Get that out of the way. And we are going to screw this down into place. One screw right there and another screw right there at the edge. Awesome. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to test out these back paddles. If you see that they are kind of loose and not clicking correctly, you can always either loosen the screws or tighten them even more until you get that click that you want. Those right there are very, very satisfying clicks. Before we move on, we are going to have to switch the trigger locks into the longest position, which is all the way at the bottom, and we're going to assemble the 2 shells together. Take your time with this. Again, this is not a speed race. This is going to go in one way and one way only. Keep in mind the charge port with the light bar is going to connect into that port right there on the controller like before. But the new part that we have to do is we're going to have to connect this cable right there. So might be a bit tricky, but we're going to take our time with this. I'm going to flip open the black stopper just like that, just to unlock the port for us. Easiest way to do this is actually go as if you're closing the 2 shells, and you're just gonna plug in the cable, and then don't forget to lock in that black stopper so it'll look just like that. And don't forget, we do have to connect the charge port. Now with both of those cables in place, we are slowly going to close the two shells. Make sure everything is going into the proper place, and then slowly go around and clip everything in. Trigger locks work fantastic. Now all that we have to do is actually seal this controller back up by screwing in those screws again on the back shell. And keep in mind, we are going to use screw number 3 that comes in the kit, which you're going to have to use the Torx head screwdriver that is provided with the kit. And just to show you guys, these screws are significantly longer than the ones we have been using so far. So let's go ahead and let's seal up this kit. There we go. I have all 6 screws secured. So keep in mind, you have the 4 original screws like on the stock PlayStation 4 controller, but there are 2 additional screws down at the bottom. So make sure all 6 screws are tightly in place. And let's check out this controller. Wow, it is very, very stunning. I don't see any major panel gaps. It's actually very good in terms of fit and finish. The back shell is actually a rubberized grip, which I like a lot. The controller feels good in my hands. I did have some doubts just because the controller is slightly chunkier and wider than a stock PlayStation 4 controller, but nonetheless still feels very, very comfortable in my hands. And on the back, my fingers are perfectly placed on both the top and bottom paddles, which is actually fantastic. So before we actually test this controller out in game, I'm going to show you guys how to remap the back paddles. Let's go ahead and remap this controller. I'm going to show you guys the easiest way to do so. We are going to start things off by entering the remapping mode. We're going to press and hold the remap button for 5 seconds. The blue light is going to turn on, which signifies that we have entered remapping mode. Next, we're going to choose which paddle that we want to remap. We are going to press and hold that paddle, as well as press and hold the stock button that we wanted to mimic for 3 seconds. The light is going to flash 3 times, which signifies that that paddle has been remapped to that button. So let's put that into practice. We are going to remap this bottom paddle to circle. So I'm going to press and hold the paddle, press and hold circle. The blue light is going to flash 3 times, signifying that this paddle has now been remapped to circle. I'm going to do the exact same steps, but to remap this other bottom paddle to X. Press and hold X, 3 seconds, release. The blue light flashes 3 times, signifying that this bottom paddle has been remapped to X. And you're going to repeat the exact same steps to remap these other 2 top paddles. Now, in order to save everything and exit this remapping mode, we are going to press and hold the remap button for 5 seconds. That blue light is going to disappear, signifying that our configuration has been saved and we are ready to use this controller in game. Keep in mind, you are only able to assign 1 stock button to 1 paddle. You are not able to assign 2 or 3 stock buttons to 1 paddle. It does not work like that, this controller. These 4 paddles are a simple remap. They do a simple mimic of 1 stock button press. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to remap the other 2 paddles. I'm going to load up Call of Duty. We are going to put this controller to the test and see how it performs. I've been using this setup for a while now and really putting this controller through its paces. And I do have to be honest with you guys, I did have my doubts. I had my doubts on how it would feel to game with. I thought it looked too big and too chunky even before assembling it. I thought that, but now that I'm gaming with it, it actually feels really good. My fingers are naturally resting on L1, R1, thumbs are perfectly placed, and all of my fingers on the back are naturally resting on the paddles. I don't have to reposition them. It makes using the paddles very easy. So in terms of ergonomic standpoint, exceptional. I like it a lot. It's actually very easy to use the paddles, and they are extremely responsive. And for those of you who are going to ask what I have my paddle set to, well, my two bottom paddles are set to X and circle, allows me to do the jump shots, the drop shots, sliding around the corner with ease. And then my two top paddles are set to square and triangle, allows me to quickly reload my weapon, or allows me to pull out my secondary and pick off the last remaining couple of guys. Getting to the trigger locks, I do have to say I like how they feel, so I definitely recommend turning on and putting on the trigger locks. But if you want that pro tip from me, aim and shoot with L1, R1. They are an on-off switch and you can't get quicker than that. So that's a pro tip from me. Getting to price at $40 to $50 puts this in a very competitive price range with similar products that are currently on the market. And yes, you're gonna say, well, Frank, we had to assemble it ourselves. So what? It was actually pretty straightforward and easy as long as we take our time with it. The end result is actually fantastic. There are no visible gaps around the controller. It doesn't squeak, it doesn't creak, it doesn't crack. It's a solid controller, and we assembled this ourselves, guys. This is something to be proud of, and I'm telling you, this setup will help improve your gameplay and bring you to the next level and make you that much more competitive. So definitely a thumbs up in my book. If you have any questions about what I covered in today's video, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll be more than happy to help you guys out. You could also hit me up on social media, or you could join my Discord as well. Link is down below in the description. So don't be shy if you guys need help or you have comments, you have questions. Feel free to reach out to me. I love hearing from you guys and I love helping you guys out. You guys freaking rock. If you all enjoyed watching this video, make sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and share with your friends. Greatly appreciated. If you are new to my channel, check me out for the very first time. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with my content, and don't forget to press that bell to become part of my notification squad. Paratroopers, you guys freaking rock. You guys are the best. Everyone have a great rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this video, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace.